What a wonderful week. Here at Retired Well, we're going to get to 4 topics this week that you're not going to want to miss if you're nearing or in retirement. The first one, personalize your retirement story. Retirement is personal, and make sure your plan is accounting for that. The primary job of retirement savings. Boy, we work all these years to put into that. What is it supposed to be doing for us? Overcoming procrastination. Don't be one of those people that plans more for their family trip than they do for their retirement. And finally, to end the show, we're going to be talking about life insurance. What are its 3 primary characteristics that it has and how that can change for people over time? We're going to be talking about all this and much more. Stay tuned.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well. Plan to retire well.
Let's talk about how to personalize your retirement story. So there's 5 major elements in any good story. You've got the setting, the characters, the plot, a conflict or villain we'll call it, and a resolution, which ultimately that resolution is your goal is to win. So first let's start with the setting. For your retirement plan with this setting, is that in your current home that you're living in now? Are you possibly considering a second home, or maybe are you considering spending some time in the winters in a little bit warmer climate? So consider that. Characters. Hopefully with this, you're going to be the star of this story, but also other family members that you may factor in, children, grandchildren, maybe there's friends who are going to be involved in this, again, your retirement story. What about the plot? What do you plan on doing in retirement? What are some of those hobbies that maybe you have? Is now that you have more time, are you looking to volunteer? Is there specifically going to be time that you want to spend with family? Maybe it's different travel or things that you want to be doing. Well, with all of that, it of course costs money. So factor that into the plan. The conflict or villain, the different enemies to your plan. It might be, do you have a sufficient amount of income to last through your retirement? What about your health? That's something that can change quickly. What about inflation? That's something that I know has creeped up on us here as of late. What impact is that going to have on your overall retirement? And ultimately, the resolution. Did you do everything that you wanted to in retirement? What about that bucket list? After the past 17 years of working here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, I love hearing stories about those clients that have been dreaming of doing this, and then they come in and say, "Oh, I'm so glad that we went and did that." Yeah, it may have cost a bit of money to do it, but ultimately they had just a great experience, and that's so wonderful to hear. So. Ultimately, how are you going to live through this next chapter of your life? And it's something I encourage you to sit down and think through and talk through that to know that ultimately you want to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. And that's where here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, our hope is to help you plan to retire well. So it's something that if you'd like a second opinion on what path you're going down and maybe some of those questions that you're unsure of, we'd love that opportunity to sit down with you and again, help you plan to retire well.
Hey, welcome back. I hope that you got to enjoy an example of the different parts of a story that we overlap into retirement planning. Personally, I love watching or reading about stories based on true events. I love reading through people's actual life experiences to see what challenges they had or the grit that they needed to get the resolution to the conflict, to the challenges. And that's something that we get to do all the time in our jobs. When we sit down and meet with people, money is personal, and their experiences a lot of times have been very personal, and they're filled with challenges and triumphs and worries and resolution, and there's a lot of things that can be learned through just following along in those personal stories. One thing that I love that we get to do is we get to help try to be looking for resolution for the worries and for the conflict. Because if you think about your retirement and your goals and what you're trying to accomplish, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be worries, and the question always becomes, well, what's your plan? What are you going to do if that happens? How are you going to be victorious in what you're trying to accomplish? So, yeah, Nick.
Yeah, I think that's like my favorite part of this job. I think I might have mentioned that in a previous show, but that's the first thing that we want to do when we sit down with you for the first time is just hear your story, because that is the only way that we can develop a plan to meet your needs, right? I mean, if you're sitting down with an advisor and the first thing they're trying to do is pitch you some investment tool, what's the reason behind that, right? So that's why we want to sit down with you. We want to talk. We want to learn your history and learn about what your goals are for retirement so that we can develop and tailor that plan to meet your retirement needs. All right, well, coming up next, we're going to be talking about the primary job of your retirement savings and then also overcoming procrastination. So stay tuned.
Every success story starts with a plan. The success of your retirement depends on a solid financial plan. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, we invite you to an informative live event to help you plan to retire well. There is no cost and no obligation, and dinner is on us. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial professionals, specializing in retirement planning, serving all of northern Michigan, with offices in Traverse City, Cadillac, Petoskey, and Gaylord. Our presentation includes, is your retirement prepared for inflation? Do you know the true risk of your investments? What happens to your assets when you pass away? Do you have a tax plan? How does your income affect health insurance costs? And much more. Call 888-608-5825 to register and choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, March 8th at Lakeside Charlie's in Cadillac, or Thursday, March 10th at the Otsego Grand Event Center in Gaylord. The live event starts at 6 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and tends to fill quickly. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. Don't miss this important live event to help you plan to retire well. Call 888-608-5825 today.
What is the primary job of your retirement savings? Now, depending how old you are, maybe where you're at in your working career, the answer might be slightly different. Typically, we see commonly three things that job may be. If you're younger and many years away from retirement, likely the job is growth, right? You want that to keep appreciating in value to get to the biggest sum as possible for when you do retire. If you're nearing retirement inside of a few years or so, and might be different for everybody, but probably some safety, right? What if you lose your job? What if you're forced to retire early? You likely have accumulated maybe a nice balance of that. You don't want to see that drop backwards. So as you're approaching retirement, likely the job is to provide a safety net for you. And in retirement, typically, for most people, the job is income. Yeah, maybe there's some people that like to have a piece of that for giving to their children or leaving a legacy, stuff like that. But for most folks, it's generating income. Retirement's like 20 to 30 years of unemployment. That job that you've been putting away for, all that savings, all that time, now it's time to make a paycheck, right? So you can live. So also, too, remember, it's got a few other jobs in there. Let's say you want to have that portfolio produce $20,000 to $30,000. Let's just say $30,000 of income for you in your retirement. And let's say you're retired for 20 to 30 years. Is that $30,000 going to provide that same amount, going to be what you want? Probably not. You know, when you were working, didn't you hope you got raises along or maybe got that cost of living goes up? We're all familiar with that right now. Inflation, we're seeing that again. So we want to have that portfolio, that retirement savings, not only is its job to produce income today, its job should be to make sure we're having income that's adequate for the future as well, right? So as costs go up, your income can adjust for that. Social Security has a little bit of adjustment that maybe you're fortunate enough to have a pension. Sometimes those do or don't have costs. So your portfolio needs to be able to make up those differences, right? So making sure that it's producing a paycheck is typically its primary job. In today's day and age that we're faced with, when you're looking at that, helping it do its job, we're faced with low interest rates, low bond yields, higher inflation. So we have to have a rock solid plan to come alongside it to make sure it's capable of doing that, or give it some assistance to do that job. Oftentimes just having a statement or 401k statement, IRA balance is not enough in today's day and age when we're looking at all the challenges we face. Have a holistic approach that looks at income, investments, taxes, estate planning, healthcare planning, long-term care planning, all that sort of stuff rolled into that. You've done a great job working and putting aside all these years. Don't skimp now. Oftentimes I see people planning or taking longer to plan their family vacation than they do their 20 to 30 year retirement. Don't let that be you.
In today's day and age, with a longer lifespan, you're more likely to encounter both good and bad market performance. For that reason, when planning for retirement, it's increasingly important to seek guidance from a financial advisor who can help you structure an income strategy that reflects your financial situation, risk tolerance, and investment objectives. You don't want just any advice, but objective financial advice. With so much at stake, it's important that you feel you can trust a financial advisor to consider a wide variety of possible solutions, including both investment and insurance products. Here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we're not beholden to any certain investment tools or vehicles. We're independent. We can offer a wide variety of investment tools that meet your needs. So please, if you have any questions or you want to schedule an initial consultation, don't hesitate to give us a call at the number on the screen. We're happy to help in any way that we can.
Are you retired or approaching retirement in the next 5 to 10 years? Join the Centennial Wealth Advisory team for an exciting presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner and learn essential financial strategies for a comfortable retirement. Dates and locations to choose from. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Call 888-608-5825.
What can Retirement Analyzer do for you? Retirement Analyzer is a software tool that can help you prepare today for your financial future. You've worked hard to save for your retirement, but as you near your retirement, you may have concerns. Have I positioned my retirement savings wisely? Have I saved enough for retirement, and will my savings last throughout my lifetime? What impact could inflation have on my future expenses? What if I suffer a long-term illness? Will I have enough money to cover my medical care expenses and still be able to meet my other financial obligations? Could changes in the income tax rates disrupt my retirement strategy? There's no need to be in the dark as you prepare for your retirement. Retirement Analyzer can help you find answers to all these questions and more. The first step is providing us with information on your financial assets, the type and current value of those assets, as well as your sources of income. Then, we work with you to identify your expected expenses in retirement. This will include a discussion of the lifestyle you envision in retirement, travel, a summer residence, whatever you dream your retirement will be. We'll input the information you provide us into the Retirement Analyzer, and in a very short time we'll have reports that show us the percentage of assets currently in high-risk vehicles as well as the percent in lower-risk products. Retirement Analyzer enables us to project your income from year to year in your retirement and see how long your retirement savings may last. As we change the conditions of the report, delaying your retirement date, including costs for long-term care, adjusting the expected tax rate, or adjusting your retirement strategies, we can see how changes in these variables may impact your income in retirement and the longevity of your retirement savings. Let the Retirement Analyzer help you test drive your retirement strategy today, because the time to discover the bumps in the road is not once your trip through retirement has begun. Contact our office today to schedule an appointment for your Retirement Analyzer review.
Let's talk about overcoming procrastination. It's a vital topic when it comes to retirement planning in a number of areas within retirement planning. So what are the causes of why we wait to do something later versus sooner? So procrastination can be typically deep-rooted in anxiety and fear. Maybe there's some type of emotional block. So I see this quite often within estate planning. People all the time are thinking, well, I'll deal with that later on in life, and they almost have this fear that as soon as they put a plan together for their how to pass on assets, that they think that that's going to ultimately cause them to pass away. So not the case, and so something I'd encourage you to look into. What about avoidance or self-doubt? People maybe don't think that they have enough funds, or maybe they don't have enough of their planning put together for retirement, so they maybe say, well, let's not even bother at this point in time. Maybe you told yourself, well, when I get to this stage of life or this age, then I'll be ready to start thinking about it. Well, maybe it's time where you start really looking at retirement earlier on and mapping out some type of long-term plan. Here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we have a team of professionals, and that's our whole objective, is to help you plan and map those things out so that you can ultimately accomplish your goals. What about perfectionism? People have a fear to fail, so they maybe don't want to be on their own. So again, that's where maybe a second opinion is helpful. Maybe there's lack of clarity. So you might think in your mind that maybe you have this plan, but perhaps maybe it's not fully mapped out, and maybe there's some different questions that you haven't answered. Maybe that's where sitting down with a professional will help you dive into those weeds or get into some of those details and help you think through all the different facets of retirement. What if you're overconfident? You think you have everything figured out. Again, maybe that's where a second opinion would be helpful. Maybe there's a procrastination because of different physical needs, health, fatigue, illness you're concerned with, or maybe that's hit you and now you're delaying your plan. What about knowledge? Maybe you don't think you have all the knowns. Maybe there's financial reasons that think you'll never have enough saved for retirement. And maybe that shows up in your spending or within your savings. So retirement planning is vital, and Centennial Wealth Advisory is ultimately here to help you and ultimately try to stop you from continuing to procrastinate. So we'd love that opportunity to sit down and talk with you further.
Hey, welcome back. I like that we got to start figuring out what is the purpose of retirement savings. Well, I think part of that is, what is your age? I've said this before, you can't have retirement without income. So what are we saving up for? Well, if we're going to use supplemental income in retirement, there's our goal. Now let's backtrack that to, where are you currently? What position are you in? What age are you? Are you able to take on more risk because of your personality and your age? Or are you getting within a year or two of retirement, where you ask yourself, do you need the risk? Are you going to get paid for the risk? Why take the risk? Where your strategies could be different. So I know if you have any questions about maybe where your risk might be, or what the purpose of your retirement savings might be turned into as your age changes, feel free to give us a call.
Yeah, don't wait. I mean, I know that was another topic there that they talked about, is overcoming procrastination, right? By nature, I'm a planner, obviously, with being a financial planner, but I want to plan things out. But there are things that, I kind of procrastinate on. I know estate planning is one, and that's a big topic for a lot of people as well. They don't want to talk about what happens when I die, right? Well, but that's an important topic to talk about, and an important thing to get covered before you actually do pass away. I know in my own personal life, I got an old storage room downstairs that's full of junk that I know I need to get to, and I just keep putting it off. I'm avoiding it. But it's things like this where we need to tackle it right up front and make sure that we have a plan in place so that we don't run into any issues down the road.
Well, Nick, yeah, especially talking about things that I procrastinate on, running, okay? That's one thing. There's been an ongoing joke at our household with my wife and I of, yep, I'm gonna start running tomorrow. You know, to me, just running is an issue. I just wanna avoid it. It's physical. But when I can actually go and get myself to avoid that procrastination and get into those sports that require running, which is better than for me than just getting on the treadmill and running. Either time though, when I'm running, at the end of it, I'm feeling better. And so that's where I would challenge you. If there's something in your retirement planning that you might have been procrastinating, maybe attacking that, doing something about it can ultimately make you feel better. So stay tuned. Coming up next, we have the 3 characteristics of life insurance.
If you're retired or approaching retirement in the next 5 to 10 years, this event is for you. Please join us for this informative, no-cost, live event to dive deep into retirement planning. This event is all about you, the challenges you face in retirement, and the information you need to help build the future that you want. There's no pressure to become a client, and our goal is simply to give you valuable information that you can use to make smarter financial decisions. We hope by the time you leave this event, you'll be empowered to make financial decisions that will provide for your future retirement.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
You can have a portfolio or you can have a plan. You can play it safely or you can safely plan. You can guess when to take Social Security, or you can make your decision based on detailed analysis. You can hope your savings will last your entire retirement, or you can take action and know. You can let life happen to you, or you can take control. You can go it alone, or you can have an experienced guide ready to walk with you every step of the way. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial planners serving all of Northern Michigan. Offices in Gaylord, Petoskey, Traverse City, and Cadillac. Simply call the number on your screen for a complimentary initial consultation and let us help you plan to retire well.
Let's take a little minute here and kind of veer from course that we normally talk about investment, and let's talk about life insurance for a second. Don't tune out. I know sometimes life insurance can be boring or I don't need that. Let's just talk about the 3 characteristics of life insurance. So why would maybe somebody want this? And there's maybe usually 3 reasons, and they're a little bit different than what they used to be. Number 1, obviously death benefit. Most folks commonly know life insurance as providing a death benefit if the owner or beneficiary passes away. So what is a death benefit? It's paid to heirs when the insured party of the insurance policy passes away. What would this be used for? Well, maybe it's replace of income. Maybe that person was providing for a family, so it's to replace of income. Maybe it's to pay off debt of a home or a business, something like that. And maybe it's to pay taxes. Maybe there's a large tax burden when somebody passes away with farmland or something like that. And also maybe, if I mentioned business, maybe it's to buy out a business partner or something like that. So that's, one thing or one advantage or purpose of life insurance is provide a death benefit. What would be another consideration? Long-term care. So commonly there's long-term care insurance, and that's its own animal out there. But Life insurance can also, in some cases, provide for long-term care insurance as well. Provide some benefit if you, as the owner of the policy, insured, was to go into some sort of formal nursing care, assisted living. The policies are all different. So why would you want this? Well, long-term care can be expensive, right? If you've had a loved one be in that, it can be very expensive. So a lot of times they have what they call an accelerated death benefit, kind of so that you can use your own death benefit to pay for your care. So that would be one potential consideration of life insurance. And the final one is cash. You know, some life insurance policies are built to generate a cash value. So they're used as an investment vehicle to try to generate, let's say, an investment return or investment growth of that. And then there's usually some liquidity options built into that. So if you are putting into this over time and then get into a point where you want to withdraw funds from that, some policies have that option exist. So once again, 3 things to consider. And as you're choosing life insurance or starting to consider if it's appropriate for you, you want to look at which one of these is most important. You know, some policies have a mixture of all of them, some focused on just one, and some may focus on a couple. But it's important. Life insurance can be customized to what best works for you. So make sure if you're picking this, having this discussion, to make sure you know what's best for you.
Hey, welcome back. Life insurance. You know, I think on the heels of that previous segment we just did on procrastination, it's something that I see people, you know, procrastinate the most when it comes to anything life insurance. They pretty much, you know, write it off as soon as they hear about that. But I hope that last little segment was helpful to know that there are different purposes or different goals even inside of life insurance. I have a couple examples. I had a client, a younger client, who is looking for tax-free income in retirement. And so he has started using a life insurance policy with the goal of maximizing the cash account value. Basically, over the next 15, 20 years, the goal is to grow that cash value that he could then potentially use, you know, as some retirement income. I have another situation where it's the owner of the company, and if he goes down, it's going to be a problem, not only from a liquidity standpoint, but just from a grief standpoint, from a running the business standpoint. And so we put a policy in place that has a death benefit as the goal. So the cash value, long-term care parts of those policies, you know, are just not structured to be maximized. The death benefit is. So we can cover the unfortunate, sudden, you know, no guarantee of life. And so, you know, if you have a question about how life insurance might fit into your plan or what your current policy is, we can get in-force illustrations. We can really educate first, decide second, you know, what your best path forward is. So feel free to give us a call or to send an email to reach out and connect.
Yeah, I know over in the Gaylord office, a lot of the clients that come in, they think that life insurance is just for the younger folks, right? Well, it's not always the case. I had a scenario similar to Jack's where I had an older client come in with a hefty IRA balance, a big balance, but he wanted to leave a legacy for his children, and he didn't want his children to be stuck with a huge tax liability when he passed away. So what we were able to do is set up an insurance product where he would fund it through distributions from his IRA, and then when he passes away, his children would use the cash death benefit from that insurance product to pay for the taxes that they incur when they inherit that IRA from their dad. So there's lots of different examples and lots of different ways that we can use life insurance and tailor it to your needs. So hopefully you found that segment very valuable. So tune in next week. We're going to present a lot more great information that you do not want to miss. So same time, same station.